Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are so.
For 19 seasons, he was the face of the Atlanta Braves franchise. Larry Wayne Chipper Jones.
Swung on a high drive. Swing, high fly ball. Deep right field, bye-bye. Chipper Jones does it again. And the Braves have won it. He is amazing.
And tonight, Chipper gets his recognition among other Braves greats. A Braves legend and future Baseball Hall of Famer. All of Atlanta and all of Major League Baseball celebrates number 10 and his great career tonight. A gigantic crowd has gathered at Turner Field in Atlanta, Georgia tonight for another chapter of Atlanta Braves history. The Arizona Diamondbacks are in town, but the big story is that scene right there. Number 10, worn by Chipper Jones, has been retired here at Turner Field. Frank Wren and Terry McGurk unveiled Chipper's jersey. The fans down the left field line unveiled that placard on the facade of Turner Field. And Chipper Jones also threw out tonight's ceremonial first pitch. A great way to cap a very special day here in Atlanta, Georgia. Hi again, friends, along with Joe Simpson and fellow retired number Tom Glavine, number 47. I'm Chip Carey. Welcome to the ballpark. What a day today, huh, fellas?
It's been a great day. He entered the Hall of Fame tonight. Chipper had his number retired. Great response from the fans, and wonderful to see how the fans responded when he mentioned Martin Prado, welcoming him back with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, great day, obviously, for the city, for the organization. The fans get to pay tribute to Chipper. Great day for Chipper and his family, and I'll be interested to hear what he's up here later today, but what his feelings really were when he saw that number 10 unveiled.
Well, we saw him grinning from ear to ear, and why wouldn't you? A very special day indeed as the Braves also play host to the first-place Arizona Diamondbacks. A big weekend of baseball coming up in Atlanta. Julio Teheran faces former Brave Randall Delgado in the lid lifter. And we'll get you to our lineups and our first pitch from red-hot Atlanta, Georgia, right after this. Is set for game one between the Braves and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Certainly a big day for Chipper Jones. But how about the gigantic ovation for that man, former Brave Martin Prado, in town for the first time as a member of the Diamondbacks.
Well, the fans loved him here, and they hated to see him go, so they certainly showed him their appreciation.
He's still got it working on the dances in the dugout, doesn't he?
And the Diamondbacks not dancing in the streets quite yet, but they have a very good ball club. They're 3.5 games up in the National League West at 42-36. Kirk Gibson has Gerardo Parra leading off his Toyota starting lineups. Aaron Hill's just back from the disabled list and is a big part of their offense down in the desert. Paul Goldschmidt making a strong bid for the All-Star team. He's their slugging first baseman. Miguel Montero's the catcher. Prado's batting fifth at third base with Jason Kubel in left. Cody Ross is in right field. Didi Gregorius, the shortstop, hits eighth, and Randall Delgado, the pitcher and former Brave, hits ninth.
And then we'll be facing right-hander Julio Teheran, 5-4 on the year with a 3.32 ERA. And we've talked a lot about him getting better as the season has gone on, and there's some pretty good proof of it. You see his first 3 starts, you see his next 3, and then you see starts 8 through 14, and progressively gotten better and better with each segment of that. So he's going in the right direction and really been pitching extremely well for the Braves of late.
He has indeed, Tom. His 4 keys to pitching success, though, has to do with early trouble. He had the bases loaded, nobody out in his last start against Milwaukee, and only gave up 1 run, but he got beat 2-0. So he'll try to avoid some early trouble tonight, and he's had great control. He's only walked 16 batters in 89 1/3 innings. I think that's been a real hallmark to his improvement that you just talked about. He has been spot on control-wise.
As we like to say when our friends from the desert come to the southeast, it's a wet heat. 87 degrees and 45% relative humidity. And the forecast for partly cloudy skies. Really, we got a break weather-wise. It was not a favorable forecast, we understood, but the wind is blowing out. And it is a warm night for baseball as Teheran just about ready to go tonight. Here's the Atlanta defense. The Braves with 48 errors. That's 6th in the National League. Upton, and Jason Hayward left to right in the outfield. Chris Johnson and Freddie Freeman are the cornerman, with Simmons and Ugla up the middle, and Brian McCann catching for Teheran. Here is the umpiring crew as assigned by Major League Baseball. Adrian Johnson will call balls and strikes. Ryan O'Nora, Fieldon Culbreth, and Bill Welke, the other 3 umps. And Gerardo Parra is ready to go for the Diamondbacks. And a first pitch strike, and we're underway.
Teheran ultimately pitched into the 7th inning in Milwaukee. 8 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. The other run he allowed was a home run to Segura.
Slow roller to the right side off the heel of Freeman's glove, but Teheran a nice job to get to the bag in time. 1 out. Here's Aaron Hill. We did not see him when the Braves played the Diamondbacks earlier out at Chase Field in Phoenix. He was out with a broken left hand. That happened on April the 9th against the Pirates.
A good addition back to their lineup, though. Good offensive player. Tough out.
Not a lot of household names in this lineup, and mostly because they're on the West Coast and a lot of people in Atlanta don't see them much, but they're a scrappy team. A lot of guys that play hard and just grind out at bat after at bat.
Hill scrapped his way to a 26 homer, 85 RBI last year, fellas, and hit over 300 in Phoenix.
That's better than scrapping.
Right?
That's working.
Scrapping with some power.
Yeah.
One ball, 1 strike. He went around. Hill didn't like that call. Teheran will take it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Toe tap, got the foot down, but the hands went way out there. I think that's what cost him to Brian O'Nora the first base hump. One disappointing bit of news, though, for the Diamondbacks coming to town. They activated Eric Chavez, and it cost Eric Hinsky a spot on the roster. They've designated him for assignment, so we will not see him in this series. And for a lot of Atlanta fans, that's very disappointing.
Eric had 9 pinch hits for the Diamondbacks this year, was hitting 173. So we'll see if he catches on somewhere else. And that's off the plate, an even count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Much was made, fellas, about the roster transformation that the Diamondbacks undertook. Of course, the big deal consummated with the Braves. Sent Justin Upton to Atlanta, Martin Prado and others to Arizona. And it was exactly what you were talking about that they were looking for. More of that scrappiness. 1 through 8 in their lineup. Line drive off the bat of Hill down the left field line. That's in for a hit. Over quickly is Upton. Hill chugging for second. And he's going to slide in safely with a 1-out double.
That is such a typical Aaron Hill at bat, too. Deep count. Got something he could finally handle, and in this case, turn on. Not a bad fastball, just up.
Yeah, it's up, tailed back over the plate a little bit. He's trying to go down and away with it, but like I said, up a little bit, and he doesn't miss too many of those.
So for a club that doesn't have a ton of power, that can't be said of the man in the batter's box. That's Paul Goldschmidt, their first baseman. And he's our Ram Trucks power stats tonight.
What a year he's having. My goodness. First in the National League in RBIs, tied for 3rd in homers, top 5 in some other important key offensive categories. To put in perspective, he has 19 more RBIs than Freddie Freeman, who's having a good year. But you were talking about their team, Chip, and you're right. The way they've assembled their team now versus maybe the last couple of years or even 5 or 6 years before that, they're 12th in the league in homers, but they're 4th in the league in runs scored. They do it a different way.
In fact, you look at the overall runs scored category in the National League, Kirk Gibson's club has actually outscored the Braves, who have hit 31 more homers than Arizona this year. So you're right. We'll see which works all the way into October best. But both clubs having a great deal of success in very different ways offensively this year. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hill at second, 1 out. And Goldschmidt didn't get a high fastball. First strikeout for Teheran, 2 outs.
Yeah, Brian, I was wondering if Brian had the high target. He did.
He did. We talk about that elevated fastball all the time. And, you know, against power hitters, they're very susceptible up there. But as we talk about, you better get it up there. And Julio certainly got that one up there and wasn't able to get to it.
Miguel Montero's the Diamondbacks catcher. And he rips one down the right field line, foul.
We saw the Diamondbacks in mid-May. Montero had gotten off to a horrible start. He was hitting under 200. He's hitting 226 now, so that may not sound like much, but as many at-bats as he has, that's a vast improvement over his early problems.
Teheran ahead of him quickly. No balls, 2 strikes. This guy's a real Iron Man. He's led the major leagues in innings and RBIs behind the plate in the last 2 years. But not this time. Aaron Hill doubles with 1 out. Teheran strikes out the 3 and 4 hitters for the Diamondbacks. Arizona fails to score. Randall Delgado goes to work in the bottom of our first inning. Getting a couple of strikeouts for Julio Teheran. His night's off to a good start. And let's see if the Braves can continue their great play here at home, where they're 25-11 at Turner Field. Andrelton Simmons leads off on our Toyota starting lineups. Jason Hayward hits second. Then it's Justin Upton, Freddie Freeman, and Brian McCann behind the plate. Dan Ugglas at second. B.J. Upton's in center. Chris Johnson eighth. Teheran ninth. And Randall Delgado, our former friend with the Braves, now pitching with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, former Brave Randall Delgado. You see his numbers this season. 3 games, 2 starts, 0-1 record with a 4.5 ERA. So he's getting an opportunity here in the rotation and looking to make the most of it. And I'm sure he would love to do some good things here against his former team and teammates.
Well, it's a wonderful thing, a wonderful matchup, because these two guys were head-to-head for the 5th spot in the rotation last spring. His pitching keys to success, long balls. He's been giving up a ton of them. And he gave up 2 in his last start. His changeup has improved vastly, I'm told, so we'll keep an eye on that. He's going to need it this evening.
Andrelton Simmons leads off for the Braves tonight. But Joe, I understand Andrelton was not the original man slotted in the number 1 spot tonight.
No, Jordan Schaefer was in the leadoff spot and going to play tonight, but that ball he fouled off his ankle in Kansas City Wednesday night is still a bad thing. It's really limited his mobility, and he just couldn't go tonight.
So Simmons, who is batting down in the batting order most of the road trip, in fact was hitting 9th in Kansas City with DH, leads off tonight and pops up a 1-1 pitch right to Martin Prado. He puts the squeeze on that. 1 up, 1 down in the Braves opening inning. Now, the reason why Arizona's in first place, fellas, they catch the ball. And you see our Home Depot tools from the dugout, just how good defensively they've been.
Yeah, that kid Gregorius, though, has really solidified their defense, and getting Aaron Hill back also helps. And we know about how good Martin Prado can pick it. The guy that surprised us out in Arizona was Goldschmidt. Now, athletic he is at first base for a big guy.
Hayward jumps on the first pitch and rifles that ball toward left. And that's off the face of the fence and into the seats for a ground rule double. Jason's having himself quite a month. That's his 10th double of the year.
he had a good road trip. It wasn't eye-popping average-wise, but he hit the ball hard, and he had that good game in Kansas City with a double and a homer. Just a good start for his homestand.
And you love seeing him drive the ball that way. That's just a great sign when you see him doing that.
Speaking of great signs, perhaps the Arizona Diamondbacks will be the tonic that gets Justin Upton hot again. He had a huge series against his former club in Phoenix. And a chance to add to his 36 RBI total in this first inning. And Justin, the subject of our Georgia lottery, hitting the jackpot.
Yeah, had that 1 4-hit game, including a homer. And it was a long homer. One of the things about Randall that seemed to stick with him when he was here, Tom, was one bad inning.
Yeah.
Like he'd always get into trouble one inning, and then before or after it, there was no problem.
Well, you know, you see that a lot, obviously, with young pitchers. But, I mean, look, every pitcher is going to go out there and have an inning where they have a chance to give up runs. So it's all about how you manage when you get in those situations, and that's the toughest thing for young pitchers to learn how to do, is slow the game down and get through those.
Here's what Randall did while with the Braves.
17 starts last year, went 4-9. You see a lot of walks in there too. Command part of the package with him, or lack of it. And I think also the long balls that he gave up and continues to give up, a large part of that is his fastball is very straight.
And his home park is not a place where you want to throw a lot of straight fastballs.
No, and he throws hard. I mean, he throws 94, 95, but it had a tendency to really stay flat and through the zone.
Well, you better, you know, we talk about it all the time, how you have to have a secondary pitch to complement your fastball. And like we've talked about, if they're eliminating his breaking stuff or his off-speed stuff, and then he's coming in there with a mistake straight fastball, that's a perfect scenario for a hitter.
And now the count is 3-2. Freddie Freeman's next. Hayward's doubled with one out. He stands at second. Up the middle, base hit. Here comes Hayward around third. The throw to the plate is way up the line, and Upton takes second. It's 1-0.
We've seen Gerardo Parra play center, left, right. Doesn't matter where he plays. He's got a great arm, a lot of assists, and he's always accurate. So for him to charge it and airmail this, and not only be this far offline, but to allow Justin to go to second, that never happens, it seems like, when we see him.
No, not only was that not a good throw, it was an ill-advised throw. I think he had zero chance of getting Jason at the plate, and then he compounded it with an errant throw, which allowed Justin to go to second, which, you know, again, for a young pitcher, much better off just conceding the run and keeping the double play in order.
Freddie Freeman with an RBI chance. And he looks low. 1 ball, no strikes.
Delgado was beaten by Cincinnati his last time out, 4-2. 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, a walk, and 2 home runs.
And he had first inning trouble, too. He allowed 3 runs in the first, 1 more in the second, did Delgado. And already 1 allowed in the opening inning tonight. And I know you like to say, Tommy, get him out of the way. Well, let's get 5 or 6 out of the way.
Yeah,
I like that.
Absolutely.
Two balls and a strike. And Joe, we are seeing opposing clubs pitch this guy extremely carefully the last week or so.
Yeah, especially after that was it the Mets series? He was tearing it up. Everybody started pitching around him, and then Freddie, in an effort to still contribute, started expanding his zone a little bit. He did not have a good series in Milwaukee. He bounced back some in Kansas City.
Another walk. First and second for Brian McCann. And now Montero out to talk things over with Delgado.
That's, when you talk about Freddie, that's certainly a good scenario for Justin with Freddie swinging the bat as well as he is from an opposing pitching standpoint. You're constantly in a situation where you're going to pick your poison, and with Freddie swinging it as well as he is right now, you got to figure Justin's going to see a few more pitches to hit than he probably saw earlier in the year, and that could be the perfect scenario for him to get out of his funk a little bit and get things back where it was at the start of the year.
So Brian McCann, the batter. One of those 8 home runs for Mac, that grand slam up in Milwaukee. A 3-run shot would be sweet right here for the Braves, who lead 1-0.
See that happen more than once with Delgado. He likes to work fast, and sometimes at warp speed that doesn't do him a lot of good.
Ground ball toward first. Goldschmidt will take it to the bag himself. A productive out for McCann. Runners move up 90 feet. 2 men are out. Dan Uggla, the hitter.
Dan did a nice job as a representative of the present team to go out and speak on their behalf for Chipper's retirement, or excuse me, he's retiring his number.
So let's see what he can do with 2 outs. 28 RBIs for Dan. He's got a 3-game hit streak.
Good first pitch right there by Delgado. You're always figuring in these situations the hitter's going to be a little bit more aggressive, looking for a fastball, and for a young pitcher, it's a nice pitch right there, starting him off with a good slider.
And another one, 0-2.
Here's where you wonder, is he going to go to a fastball in or a fastball up to get him off of his next slider, or is he going to triple up on his slider?
Wasted a fastball outside at 93. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Like he was trying to go in, I think.
Yeah, he missed way off on his location.
Overthrew it, so he goes back to a slider and overthrows this one and hangs it a little bit.
Might throw it to the screen too. That's a good changeup. That was in a good spot. Just good patience on the part of Dan not to swing at it.
Yeah, those are those ones as a pitcher, you're wondering, all right, did he take that because he saw it that well, or was he just fooled? You know, so now you're playing that cat and mouse game in your brain, thinking, all right, what do I got to do here?
Swing and a miss. And that retires the side. A run on 2 hits for Atlanta. 1-0 your score. We get set for the top of the second. Atlanta will welcome back Martin Prado. He'll lead off for Arizona when we come back. Upton base hit against his former team, the Diamondbacks. And now former Brave Martin Prado will get the announcement. He'll lead things off for Arizona against his former team, the Braves. Got to work on the cap tipping thing, huh? That's great. Always good to see Martin Prado, who leads things off against Julio Teheran. Teheran struck out a couple of D-backs in his first inning of work tonight. But Prado's not the third baseman we're going to talk about tonight. It's always a treat to be joined by Braves Hall of Famer. How does that sound? Braves Hall of Famer Chipper Jones.
It's got a decent little ring to it, doesn't it? It's been just a great day, man. It's been awesome, and I've enjoyed seeing so many of my ex-teammates and guys that I've shared the field battle with. It's been awesome to share it with the family and everything. You did a good job today, by the way. Nice job.
Thank you.
Both good and bad. You know, like the good stuff, and then whatever that Junior Jones stuff was.
I didn't know you had a cousin.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I knew you had something up your sleeve. I just didn't know what it was going to be.
2 quick strikes for Martin Prado, who's hitting .241 for the year. So, Chipper, take us through the day's events. We can talk about the lunch in second, I guess, but my favorite moment when we see these numbers retired is the look on the faces of the players whose numbers are forever put aside. What was that moment like for you today?
It was crazy. You know, I mean, I played, right alongside these guys, and I saw greatness. I saw what it was all about. I played behind it for many years. I played for Bobby Cox. It was just a tremendous honor, and like I said earlier, I really, the first time I walked in Fulton County Stadium, I looked at all those numbers, and I made it a goal of mine to try and get number 10 up there. And I didn't say it out loud, but deep down inside, it's what I always wanted. I thought I could make an impact at this level, and 20 some odd years later, it happened. So I'm extremely happy about it.
Well, you knew too that if that happened, if the number went up there, that means you did some good things, that you accomplished a lot of other goals along the way.
Well, I had a lot of good teachers. I had some really good mentors. You're never going to do it all by yourself, so you play with the likes of Maddox, Glavin, and Smoltz, and Terry Pendleton, guys who win MVPs and batting titles, and Cy Young after Cy Young, and a Hall of Fame manager that puts you in the right spot to help you be the most successful you possibly can. It's it makes my job a lot easier when they put you in a spot to succeed. And I know Tommy be the first one to attest that Bobby Cox was certainly one of the best managers at putting guys in the right situation. I'm a rookie, and they puts me in the 3 spot ahead of Fred McGriff. Where am I going to see the most fastballs? I can hit a fastball. Where am I going to see the most fastballs? Hitting in front of Fred McGriff. Who are they going to come after? Are they going to come after me, or are they going to challenge Freddie? They're going to come after the rookie.
3 balls, 2 strikes for Prado. And it's popped up right behind the plate. Ryan McCann sheds the face mask, gets to the screen, and he'll have a play. Prado pops out, 1 away in the second. Really loved your classy mention of Martin Prado. Here's what took place before the game today, Chipper.
I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize some people over in the other dugout because they had a tremendous influence on my career. Martin Prado.
I love that guy. He's, I said today that Eddie Perez is my favorite teammate of all time, and I don't know, maybe I just got a thing for Venezuelans. I don't know. Martin, we just clicked, and like I said about my relationship with Don Baylor over in the other dugout, I told Martin Prado the day that he got traded, he called me up, and I said, Martin, I can tell you this. If I ever become a manager or a general manager, I'm coming to get you because that's a guy who helps you win 95, 100 ball games because of his versatility, and he does it all so very well.
He had some things to say about you today also when it was asked in the locker room before the ball game. I thought they were pretty cool.
First the 1-2 pitch to Kubel. Jason Kubel checked his swing. It's 2-2.
So you talked about quietly wanting your name up there, your number up there, and I'm sure you answered the question 100 times or more. What it's going to feel like when you see it. Was there anything close to it when you saw it?
Yeah, it was. I've been in this ballpark, 4 or 5 times since I retired, and I've looked down these lines, and I just, I see y'all's names, and it gives me chill bumps, even that when my name wasn't there. And my parents got in Wednesday night. They slept with a smile on their face for the last 48 hours, and it's just a tremendous honor for the Jones family. It's a testament to how hard we worked throughout my childhood to get to this point. And I think if I walked into this stadium every single day, like I told you today, if I walked in every single day and I saw it, I would get used to it. But because I'm not going to be walking in every day, it might be every 2 weeks or once a month. Every time I look up down there, it's gonna have special meaning. It's gonna bring a smile to my face, and it should.
I know you were smiling. There are a lot of folks in the audience who were crying when your jersey was retired. If you had turned over your right shoulder, I bet you would have lost it.
I couldn't look at them, man. It was today during the luncheon. It was hard to, I made a point not to look at them because I knew my mom would be bawling, and when she starts bawling, or I see a tear in the eye of my father, it's Katie bar the door for me.
Cody Ross trying out for the hammer toss. Lost the handle. Need a little more pine tar. 2 balls and a strike.
That's as long a one as I've seen right there. That's a long way. And to keep it out of the stands.
Never figured that out.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know how people do that.
2 gloves.
I never did that in my entire career. I don't understand how it happens. You're supposed to grip that thing.
2 balls and a strike. Now 2-2. Teheran's dealing tonight. He's got good stuff. Already 3 strikeouts. Didi Gregorius, the shortstop, waits next. That's down the right field line. Long run for Hayward over near the stands, but he'll run out of room.
Of all the great things that and places you've played throughout your career, I'm sorry you didn't get to go to Kansas City with us. I mean, how about that?
Yeah, you figure 20 years in the big leagues and 15 years of interleague play, you get to play there at least once. So I guess I'm grateful that the All-Star game was there last year, so I did get to visit the stadium. I've heard a lot of great things about it, and you nailed it, with the Dodger Stadium of the American League. I mean, it's to a T. It's a beautiful place, with the exception of the fact that it sometimes peaks 100 degrees out there. What a just a picturesque place to play.
I ask you today, I'll ask for the folks at home who didn't hear that interview, but MVP, batting title, World Championship, Silver Slugger Awards, All-Star things, and I asked you if there was anything left on the table that you didn't get, and you said
Gold Gloves.
Well, which we all agreed up here later was something that you should have gotten.
Well, I guess it's like a lot of things, in Major League Baseball, especially say All-Star appearances and stuff like that. It can be a bit of a popularity contest at times, and however many times you make it on Sports Center, rolling over and making a play, it's those guys are going to get the nod. But I didn't think I deserved to be a perennial Gold Glover. I did think there were a couple years where I deserved some recognition for it. But you know what? If that's the worst thing that comes out of a 19-year career, I've had it pretty good.
Maybe if you played left field a little more, you would have won a couple, right?
Nah, I could throw some stuff up in the stands there too. Tommy can attest.
Didi Gregorius is the hitter. And this kid's a sensational shortstop prospect. He too from Curacao, like Andrelton Simmons. As Teheran to the stretch for the second time tonight. We told the story about Gregorius when we saw the Dodgers. Andrelton Simmons and Kenley Jansen played on the same baseball team in Curacao. When Andrelton pitched, Kenley Jansen caught. And when Andrelton was on the mound, this kid was the shortstop.
I'll tell you what, Curaçao's they're coming up with some pretty good ball players. That's a new hotbed for Major League shortstop, center fielders. Like you say, Kenley Jansen was drafted as a catcher and is now the closer for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So it tells you what kind of arms they got down there. I think that play in Kansas City the other night where he kind of slid on the line drive and jumped up and threw to first base, that was impressive. I mean, you could hear the ball going across there on TV, and he's an awfully exciting shortstop, and the Diamondbacks appear to have the next new wizard at shortstop.
Runner goes. The pitch is strike. The throw to second. Not. Oh, it is in time. Apparently Ross came off the bag. A pop-up slide cost Cody Ross. He had the bag stolen. And the Braves kept the tag on, and it paid big dividends. Another heads-up play by Simmons. and Ross, and the Diamondbacks are out of luck in the second inning. Thank you very much. Chipper Jones will stick with us for another half inning. 1-0, Atlanta the lead. Applebaum has blown 3 saves this year. 2 of those 3 have come on the road.
Their best against your best in the clutch.
If Chipper launches one, this place will go crazy.
Swing, high fly ball, broke to right center, and the Braves have won it!
Thank you to all these fans for sticking around and believing in us. For those that left, shame on you. You missed a great one.
B.J. Upton leads off the Braves second. Chipper, those never get old, do they? Those highlights?
No, that's what we all live for. I was going to reference that today, and you know, during luncheon, your mind, your mind tends to go a little faster than your mouth, and I kind of lost track of it. But you know, I really think that God is good. He really had something in store for me there. You know, that last homer, to be that special in that spot, it was just kind of him tapping me on the shoulder and saying, "I'm gonna give you one more night in the sun." And what a great opportunity. I was kind of mapping that at bat out for an inning and a half. You know, I thought, golly, if we could just mount something, if I can get a chance to tie or win this game against Papelbon, I like my odds against them. And when the guy misplayed the ball down here at third base on Prado, and I got the opportunity, I was just like, all right, boy, this might be your last chance, so make it count.
B.J. strikes out. Chris Johnson hits. 1 ball, no strikes to the Braves third baseman. Really appreciated, Chipper, today during the luncheon. You talked about how the baton has been passed. It was passed to you and how you've passed it to this new generation of Braves players. After all, I guess really you're the last guy standing from all those great Braves championship clubs. A fly ball to center field. Parra is there and has it for the second out. I'm sure you have to feel a great sense of pride at what this club has been able to do in 2013 so far.
I really am, and I'm so proud of these guys. You know, I know that when I first got called up, it takes the young guys a little bit of time to figure out how things are done. You know, and these, you know, Tommy and Greg and Smoltz and TP and those guys were so good. You know, when one of us stepped out of line, I know you can remember, you know, me getting called into the principal's office with the guys that have been around here and saying, hey, look, you know, we don't air dirty laundry. This is how we do things. We do it with pitching and defense and timely hitting, and we do it with as little fanfare as possible, and we go about our business. We play the game the right way. We're the most respected organization in baseball, and slowly but surely it sinks in, and you fall into that, that routine, and lo and behold, you become 1/9 of the equation that goes out there every night and helps win ball games, and that's what I try to pass on to the next generation. And, they got a good group of guys down there. We had a great time last year, and they're having a great time this year. Obviously, 5.5 games up in first place. Winning cures a lot of ills.
2-2 to Teheran. And it's popped out of play. While we have a quick second, we asked Martin Prado for one of his quick and favorite memories of you last year, Chipper.
One day we were playing a 120 degrees game against Washington, and he told me, like, hey man, I don't feel good to play today. It's too hot out there. And I was like, I feel the same way. So he just kind of like, I'm a Hall of Fame. You're not. I was like, okay, I play.
Oh my
Take
goodness.
that.
I will tell you that without a doubt that conversation never happened. Ever happened. Y'all should have put that on that video today. That was a load of crap. That was good old Martine. I'm gonna have to stick him in the ribs for that one.
Hey, how about Teheran? He can swing the bat.
You like this guy as a hitter, don't you?
I was going to say, don't miss out on the fact that the athlete just got a hit.
Third of the game for the Braves. Now Simmons hits and takes the strike.
And those two are going to go at it because Delgado and Teheran were kind of vying for the fifth spot last year between AAA and the big leagues. Teheran's feeling good about himself out there at first base.
Delgado will be swinging from his shoes.
Hey, he can hit a little bit too. Not bad.
Hamilton grounds to Hill. He'll flip to Gregorius at second, and that will retire the side. Chipper, always great to see you. I know you've got a busy night. Congratulations, a well-deserved honor.
Thank you very much, guys. I enjoyed it.
Chipper Jones, number 10, retired forever in Atlanta today. Braves lead 1-0. We head to the third inning.
A work in progress, but certainly going in the right direction and going that way in a hurry. We keep talking about how he's growing up every time he goes out there, and you see there, first 7 starts versus last 11 starts, and you see the ERA way down, the opponent batting average way down. The walk-to-strike ratio, as Joe alluded to in the open, is huge. When you're cut down on that aspect of it and you're not giving up many hits, you're not putting yourself in much trouble. And as a pitcher, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make that team earn their opportunities, and Julio has certainly done that. And I think much like Mike Minor, he's Mike talked about not trying to be so perfect. I think the same has been true for Julio. He's gone out there and really just tried to attack hitters and attack the strike zone and not try to be perfect, and things are definitely going in the right direction.
So Julio, our Wendy's Now That's Better feature. And he'll face Gregorius, who was in the batter's box when Ross was thrown out trying to steal a few moments ago. Teheran's got plenty of company in rotation. I mean, you look at this Braves starting five, they've been outstanding the last couple of weeks. Good all year, but especially so the last 13, 14 games.
Yeah, they're definitely in that mode where they're kind of feeding off each other and feeding off the last guy's good performance, or picking the last guy up if he had a shaky outing, and that's what you want out of your starting five.
Gregorius fouls one back, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Scouting report we got on Gregorius is that he wants to pull the ball, wants to pull everything, which is unfortunate in his first year that's all he thinks about. But as a result, teams are really busting him inside and tying him up where he can't get the barrel out around it.
You have to respect his speed, and Chris Johnson does. He's guarding the line, is in on the grass at third base. In fact, in the last game for Arizona yesterday, a bunt single in extra innings won the game over the Nationals. The Diamondbacks.
Well, we're real proud of him for that.
We like that. And he does pull the ball successfully. Gregorius a leadoff single, and Randall Delgado's coming up. 1-0 Braves. Arizona batting in the third inning here at Turner Field. It's Friday Night Braves baseball on Fox Sports South. Our game tonight presented by Blimpie. Full house tonight in the booth. Joe Simpson, Braves Hall of Famer Tom Glavine, Tom Hart, Elizabeth Morrow are alongside as well. I'm Chip Carey, and this is the Diamondbacks pitcher, Randall Delgado. There's the bunt, and it's perfect. Runner to second on the sacrifice.
That was well done with Chris Johnson right on top of him, and then with him showing bunt, pulling it back, putting it back out there. He put it in a perfect spot.
Yeah, he did a nice job with the fake there, trying to at least keep Chris honest and not charging all the way in, but still presence of mind to get that bat in the zone, bunt a strike, and get it out there and do his job. Nice job.
So Parra, the hitter, he's batted safely in 17 of the last 20 games for the Diamondbacks. At .305 for the year. He bounced out to Freeman to start the game. This guy's a good player.
We already talked about what a good arm he has and a good outfielder, although he made a mental mistake in the first inning that helped the Braves. But he can hit and he can run.
Caught the inside corner, a strike. Parra's only 25, make it 26 years old now. This will be his 5th full major league season. I would think, fellas, if he played in a major media market, a lot more fans around baseball would know just how well-rounded his major league game is.
Absolutely, and the Diamondbacks are probably happy that people don't know much about him.
Up and away, 2 balls and a strike.
He's been accused of putting a little too much mustard on some of his actions, and that has drawn some responses from opponents, most notably Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers.
I would think his own coaching staff would be able to take care of that.
I was just
boy.
going to say that.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean, you're always some guys are always walking that line, and no matter what you do, you're going to rub some players wrong on the other teams. But I agree 100% with Kirk Gibson, Matt Williams, Don Baylor in that dugout. If he's out of line, I'm pretty sure he's hearing about it.
Two balls and a strike. That is quite a staff.
Yeah, there's
Highly decorated.
Yeah, there's some boys that if they tell you something, they've got the experience to back it up. A lot of managers would be afraid to have that many important guys on their staff. You're looking over their shoulder all the time.
2-2 to Parra. Gregorius at second. Strike three outside corner. Good pitch.
Boy, back-to-back good pitches. Great change-up. Got him to swing and miss, and then looked like he painted the corner on that one. Beautiful.
Very good sequence. There was the changeup for the strike. Swinging strike, and then the changeup was called strike three. Good job. Nice job of using both sides of the plate and changing speeds multiple times in the at-bat, setting that pitch up.
So Aaron Hill hits now with 2 outs. He's already doubled tonight. But you don't want to be too fine with this guy, not with Goldschmidt lurking in the on-deck circle.
That's why I'm surprised he took that first fastball.
Foul the second one back, and it's 0-2.
I had to figure with a runner in scoring position and Goldschmidt on deck that they were going to come after him, but he certainly wasn't looking fastball.
So he's got the kitchen sink to play with here. See what McCann and Teheran dial up.
They are 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, all strikeouts. I love what Chipper said a minute ago, Tom, about when he first came up, he gets put in the 3-hole in the batting order. That doesn't happen to any rookie, no matter how highly touted they might be. But tribute to Bobby Cox and knowing how to put him in a spot.
Oh, Teheran was walking off the mound. He thought he had Hill struck out.
Yeah, it looked like it was more of a swing than the first appeal that went down that way.
I agree.
But no, I agree with you, Joe. Bob, that's the thing that everybody loved about Bobby. He was so good at recognizing where to put guys and how to make them successful. And you know, to his credit, he did that with a lot of young players. He wasn't afraid to insert young players every year.
I remember he always said, "I want the best 25 guys in our organization. I don't care who they are or how old they are."
Absolutely.
So from 0-2 to 3-2 for Hill.
I guess you got to look fastball here with a big bopper on deck.
Ground ball to second. Dan's got it, and that retires the side. No runs, a hit, a man left. We head to the bottom of the third inning. Here's your Delta Airlines on-deck trio for the Braves, who lead 1-0. The Braves lead 1-0 as we head to the bottom of the third inning. It's a busy weekend here at Turner Field. Coming up tomorrow, we'll have the Braves alumni game. We'll have alumni interviews and all of the highlights. As you know, John Smoltz will try to take over the game like he did last year.
Is he going to be here?
And then Sunday, one of my favorite days at the ballpark, our tribute to the troops. Lots of great interviews, lots of great stories, so we hope you'll stick around for Braves and Diamondbacks baseball here in Atlanta this weekend. Jason Hayward goes to work after he doubled and scored the game's only run. And that's fouled away to the left side. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Tom, the comment you made about Jason in the first inning about great to see him go the other way. When he's doing that, everything else starts falling into place.
And it's funny how many guys we say that about. Yeah. It sounds so simple, but not an easy thing to do.
This one lined over second. I don't even know if that was a strike. But with those long arms, Hayward was able to extend, and he's 2 for 2 in the game.
That wasn't a strike. Might have even had a little action running off the plate away from him.
So, boy, what a great sign it is to see Hayward having a .300 average in the month of June. And he'll add to that with his perfect night. Now Justin Upton bats. His 37th RBI brought home Jason Hayward.
Back through the middle. And while he got jammed on that, I'm glad to see that's a good sign for him to get jammed once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great job of keeping his hands inside the ball and not getting sawed off, getting enough of it to get a base hit.
Good fastball. 0-2. We'll keep you posted on the scoreboard tonight. Washington's in New York facing the Mets. Matt Harvey's pitching for New York in that game tonight. And the Phillies visit the Dodgers. They get started at 10:10 Eastern time.
Browns and the Bears got a big game going on today.
Yeah,
I saw that.
And why we keep track of the Washingtons and the Philadelphias. Well, Washington now 5.5 games back. They're at 500. The Phillies get to 500, then tumble right back. They're 4 under. To third. Prado to second, 1. And Hill the turn. Hayward came barreling in, but Hill avoided impact. And 2 are out on the double play ball. So order restored for Delgado, 2 for the price of 1, and now Freeman hits. Freddie walked in the first inning. In his last 10 games, Freeman has walked 11 times. They are being extremely careful with the Braves' first baseman.
He's being pitched in a little more than teams were electing to do that earlier in the year too. Generous strike there.
Well, we talk about it. You pitch him in there, but you better get it in there. Right. Where if he does put good wood on it, he can't keep it fair.
Back to the mound, and Delgado will take care of Freddie Freeman and the Braves. No runs, a hit, nobody left. We go to the 4th.
Lead 1-0, and fans all season long. Atlanta Braves baseball on Fox Sports South is being presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Well done. Hot night in Atlanta. 87 humid degrees here at Turner Field. We thank Chipper Jones for his great Atlanta career. If you missed our coverage on Braves Live, you missed an hour-long love fest for the Braves third baseman, and well-deserved. His number 10 mounted on the side of the club level down the left field line.
A lot of good signs in the ballpark tonight, too. Wow, look at that kid.
And even the bases chronicle the importance of tonight's game, which is being led by Julio Teheran, 1-0. Julio has struck out 4 men in his first 3 innings this evening. His first victim was the man in the box, Paul Goldschmidt.
This guy was not a high draft pick. I want to say 10th round or so. But put up good numbers in college. While it wasn't at I'll say a top 10 program, maybe that's what kept scouts from thinking that he wasn't playing against good enough competition to put up good home run numbers.
He's blasted 19 of them already for Arizona this year, hitting well over 300. Born in Wilmington, Delaware. And the Diamondbacks have already locked him up to a long 5-year contract.
He was an 8th round pick, so a little higher than I thought. Went to Texas State University.
Squibbed out towards short. Goldschmidt is 0-2, 1 out. See the Braves take on the Reds Thursday, July 11th through the 14th. Be sure to grab a Dale Murphy bobblehead Thursday night and stay for a post-game concert from the Steve Miller Band on Saturday. Both those events presented by Coca-Cola and Delta. Visit Braves.com/tickets for all the details.
Talking about Miguel Montero making a comeback. On June 7th, he was hitting 199. Since then, he's hit 311 coming into the game tonight.
He struck out to end the first inning tonight. One ball, one strike. Tommy looks like he's got 3 excellent pitches in this game.
I was going to say he's certainly got that changeup working tonight, and a nice complement to that fastball is you can go 95 on the top end and 83 on the low end. That's tough for a hitter to cover.
Just foul past first. Montero is still alive.
He had the Brewers talking about him after his last start, Tom, about how he pitched inside and how he was willing to bust people inside, not afraid of hitting people. And he's hit some guys this year, 8 already.
Well, that'll keep guys from crowding the plate and trying to eliminate one side of the plate.
That's upstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tipped and caught by Brian McCann. Montero's down swinging. He struck out for the second time tonight. 2 outs.
Time for Georgia Power Energy tip number 10, of course. Number 10. Who could that be? You could save up to $300 annually by switching from a gas furnace to an energy-efficient electric heat pump. If you make the switch before August 31st, you may qualify for up to a $400 rebate.
Another nice cheer for Martin Prado, who popped out his first time.
That was a great ovation the fans gave him when Chipper acknowledged him during the number retirement. In that, the fans were on their feet and cheering for him for a good minute. And I know that was very gratifying to Martin and much appreciated.
I was struck too, Joe, by the different responses by the different crowds. As Prado singles to right with 2 outs. It was very much a mixed reception for Justin Upton when the Braves went out to Phoenix, inexplicably.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, wasn't it? Freddie making sure he's okay, but if he'd missed it and Martin came up his first time tonight, he tipped his cap. Then had a little trouble putting it back on. Whoops,
I have to work on that.
That's great.
He's laughing at himself. That's great.
Jason Kubel. Runner at first, 2 out. Kubel was a nice find for the Diamondbacks last year. Former Minnesota Twin. Went from the frozen tundra to the desert. Hit 30 homers, drove in 90 last year. And 506 at bats, far and away the most he's ever had as a professional. Let me back that up. He had 500 at bats twice with Minnesota, but not nearly as much power as he displayed, I beg your pardon, with the D-backs last year.
Well, he's having a little trouble finding that form again this year.
That's way high. 1 ball, 1 strike. He got off to a great start with the Diamondbacks last season. He hit for the cycle last April 17th. His final at bat, he hit a grand slam.
He was on the disabled list the last half of April with the strained left quadricep.
Just missed. 2 balls and a strike. Kubel was born in South Dakota, lives in Calabasas, California. Outside corner. Swing and a miss. 6 strikeouts for Julio Teheran. He's pitching beautiful ball tonight. He leads 1-0. Brian McCann goes to work in the Atlanta 4th. Bottom of the fourth inning, Brian McCann, Dan Uggla, and B.J. Upton are coming up against Randall Delgado. A warm, muggy night here at Turner Field. Nothing like it is in the desert Southwest. It's supposed to be upwards of 119 degrees in Phoenix today.
Good grief.
Dry heat, though, right?
Two balls and a strike. Yeah, stick your hand in the oven. That's dry heat too, right, Tommy?
Exactly.
And that's low. 3 balls and a strike. High pop. Left side, Prado and Gregorius. Didi is there, makes the play. McCann pops out for out number 1. Here's Uggla. Dan struck out with a couple runners aboard in the opening inning.
Randall's a big, strong guy, 6'3", over 200 pounds. He's only 23 years old. Out of Panama. And in addition to Martin, one of the key figures in that trade, because he had pitched in the big leagues a lot last year, and the Diamondbacks needed some more starting pitching.
And as good as Arizona's been, unlike the Braves, fellas, the Diamondbacks starting pitchers are in a bit of an odd rut. Yet they lead their division by 3.5 games. Starting pitchers haven't been able to win lately.
No, this is an amazing number here. And this is since June 6th and encompasses 19 games. Their starters are 0-8 with an ERA of almost 5.
Fly ball, shallow left. Gregorius out, can't get it. Uggla, big turnaround first, has to scramble back and is in safely. That ball hung up forever. Parra, Kubel, and Gregorius couldn't chase it down, and it's a blue pit for Uggla.
Here's what you're going to like about this. You like guys making a big turn, but when they make a big turn when they're making their turn, that was kind of funny. Dan had ideas of going to second base, but watch this. He's ready to go, and it's like, uh-oh, now watch your I got to get over here. I got to get some traction.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly a tight turn right there.
So he's the first for B.J. Upton, who struck out in the second inning. And he jumps on the first pitch and hammers it towards center. Parra had a little trouble.
You don't see it.
He doesn't have it.
He doesn't see it. His hands went up in the universal sign for help me. And he got no help. Second and third, 1 out.
It's that time of night, and right now there's some clouds overhead that are just about the same color as a baseball. And I'm here to tell you there's nothing more helpless than this feeling. Because the next thing you hear is the thump.
Well, we see it all the time. Guys coming in here from visiting ballparks, and this time of night, they struggle. And like you said, Joe, that cloud cover, it's even worse because that ball is just blending right into that sky right now.
He wants time. Not sure if anybody's even seen it.
Yeah, both Goldschmidt and Aaron Hill had to yell at Delgado, hey, step off. He's got to tie his shoe.
Well, this would be a good test for Delgado. See his somewhat of his maturity level right here. That's obviously a bad break right there, and rather than 1 out or 2 outs and a runner on first, now you're in a big jam, and see how he can handle it. Looks like they're going to walk Chris Johnson to set up the bases loaded, set up the double play.
It'll be the second walk for Randall tonight.
It's the right move, despite the fact that Teheran got his 6th hit of the year, his first time up against his old pal.
A little bit more experienced guy out there. You might let him take a shot with a couple pitches at the number 8 hitter and see if you can get him to chase something, maybe get himself out with the pitcher on deck. But I agree, in this situation, young guy on the mound, set up the double play with the pitcher coming up. He's been throwing strikes, so you're not worried about that side of it. Now you try and get that ground ball and get yourself out of the inning.
So Teheran with the bases loaded. And the danger, quite obviously, for Delgado is you issue the walk hoping for the double play, but there's no place to put the hitter. To even the count.
You've got the right side of the infield in on the grass. Gregorius is not in at shortstop. There's a ground ball hit to him. He's not going to have anybody to play catch with. Well, now Hill backs up.
2 balls and a strike. Sharply hit. Goldschmidt's coming home for 1 and back to first in time. The strategy pays off for Delgado. A 3-2-3 double play ends a 4th inning Braves threat. On we go to the 5th. Bottom of the order up for Arizona. Braves lead 1-0. On a night when the Braves honor one of the game's greatest hitters, we're seeing a terrific pitching matchup through 4. Let's take a look at our Blimpie game summary.
And those two guys, Tom, the guys that were battling for the 5th spot last year. Delgado won last year. Teheran's the guy this year.
Yeah, I think both these guys are trying to prove a little something tonight. You know, Teheran trying to show the Braves that it was a good idea to keep him, and Delgado was trying to show the Braves that it was not such a good idea to let him go. So it's been a great duel of two young pitchers to this point, and fun to watch.
Boy, Teheran could not have hit that ball any sharper and right at Goldschmidt. Worked out perfectly.
That was just bad luck on his part.
So after loading the bases, the Braves unable to break through in the 4th inning. And now Ross, Gregorius, and Randall Delgado coming up in the 5th. Ross walked and was thrown out trying to steal in the 2nd. That's a foul ball into the seats on the right side.
Tom, last inning, Teheran struck out Kubel on what appeared to me to be a slider, but it was one that he took a little off of. What I really love about this guy at age 22, he's able to change speeds on his breaking stuff like that.
And when you can do that, you're really going to be on your way.
Here's a pitch I was talking about.
Yep, take a little off, just a tiny bit more break than the one he throws a little bit harder. And again, you can do that. That's great. You got 2 pitches within 1 pitch, and you know he does it with his fastball too. We've seen some 91, some up to 95. It's a great weapon when you can change speeds off the same pitch.
Strike 3. Ross couldn't pull the trigger.
Cody Ross, the subject of our Coors Light Cold Freeze Cam. Tried to steal second. Looked like he had it stolen, but he couldn't keep his foot on the bag. And watch Andrelton Simmons, who points right down at his foot. Watch Andrelton. If we roll it a little bit longer. There's the tag foot off the bag, and watch Andrelton pointing. It was helping him a little bit too, pushing him some. And that's Coors Light Freeze Cam, brought to you by Frostbrewed Coors Light.
Gregorius, the hitter, and swings a little late. And no, Andrelton in Dutch does not mean Herbeck. But a heads-up play by the Braves shortstop. Leo's humming. He struck out 7 men tonight. He struck out 11 Pirates on June 5th. Ball to left. Kind of corn for Justin Upton. He's got that. 2 outs. Here's Delgado. He laid down a perfect sacrifice in the third, but the Diamondbacks 1, 2, 3 hitters could not bring home Gregorius.
Julio pitched well against the Diamondbacks on May 14th, but he got shut out 2-0, just as he did against Milwaukee in his last start. Out in Arizona, 6 innings, 7 hits, only gave up 2 runs, did not walk a batter, and struck out 3.
He's been a little snake bitten by the 2-0 score. They're 9-5 in his 14 starts this year, and 2 of those losses were 2-0 shutouts against him.
Well, he's on the right side of the ledger so far tonight, up 1-0. But behind the pitcher, 2 balls, no strikes. You ask about run support this year. Teheran is the 3rd highest run support recipient on the staff. Braves are averaging 3 runs a game for him. And a shot by Delgado into center field. So the hits for the pitchers are even at 1 apiece.
Well, a little bit of you got me, now I got you. So the bragging rights, at least on the hitting side of things, are equal for tonight. But I'm sure Julio will be perfectly fine with having bragging rights on the pitching side of things the way they are right now.
Parra's 0 for 2.
And I can't call him an athlete because he's on the other team.
Back to the mound on the first pitch. And Teheran takes care of Gerardo Parra and the Diamondbacks. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Braves up a 1-run tally. Friday Night Braves baseball on Fox Sports South is presented by Blimpie.
Something funny there at the end of the inning. I don't know if there was some previous history here or not, but watch Teheran on the comebacker. He gloves it, and then he starts running to first, but he's watching Parra the whole way. The whole way, and then tossed it. Parra did not take kindly to this and said something to him, and then kind of glared at him as he was going to the dugout. I don't know why in the world Julio would do that, unless maybe there was some previous history with Parra himself.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some history there or not, but he's had good success against him so far tonight. You might want to let sleeping dogs lie, as they say.
So Parra's 0 for 3. And the top of the order coming up in the 5th inning for the Braves: Simmons, Hayward, and Justin Upton.
Wouldn't have been so bad if Julio hadn't been looking at him. If he'd just been running the ball over there, that's one thing. But if you're looking at the guys you're running over there, like taunting him, you are going to wake him up.
High fly ball belted deep left field. That one's going to go. Andrelton Simmons makes it 2-0.
Number 6. Change up?
Yeah, change up. Well, not a bad one. Maybe a little bit, finished a little bit higher than he wanted, but.
And Andrelton's first since May 18th when he hit one off Kenley Jansen of the Dodgers. So a little more breathing room for Julio.
Randall has come back throwing 2 bullets in there, 94, 95. And again, the home run ball for Delgado rears its ugly head. That's 4 homers in 3 starts. In the minor leagues, he had given up 9 in AAA, 9 home runs in 13 starts.
And if you can't get the ball down in that home park in Phoenix, that's a problem, isn't it?
For sure. You better not be spending too much time up in the zone out there.
Jason got jammed. Goldschmidt will take it to the bag himself. That's the first out.
No, just as you guys say, not a good idea to pitch up out in Arizona. How about the ball Justin hit there? Goodness.
That is a long way.
And another RBI hit for Upton tonight. He's 1 for 2. Fouls that ball away. Strike 1.
There's just a little different look to his swing tonight, and I like what it appears that he's trying to do, and that's let the ball travel a little more. And I know this guy throws hard and he can get it in on you, but he's not pulling off the ball. Justin seems to be getting his foot down, his hands in a good spot.
Well off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Now it's full, 3-2. Freeman is next. With 1 out, Upton awaits the payoff pitch. Fly ball well hit right center field, but this one's going to stay in the park. Cody Ross over to his right makes the grab. 2 outs. Delta Airlines, a proud sponsor of the Atlanta Braves. And now Freeman hits. One ball, no strikes. Yanked foul, and that almost got McCann.
How do you do that?
I have no idea how you do that. How do you turn on a pitch that much?
I mean, that had to come close to hitting his leg, you know, his own leg. Scared him, too. Looks like that game in Chicago's finally over. Cleveland 19, White Sox 10. Boy, oh boy.
As the on-deck hitter with a lefty, Max a little relaxed there thinking, oh, I got no chance. I don't have to worry about a foul ball over here. With Freddie, you do.
Now he does foul a ball off his body.
It's like we talked about. If you're gonna pitch him in there, get it in there where he can't do anything with it.
Cleveland 19 runs on 21 hits. White Sox 10 runs on 13 hits.
Did the White Sox lead that game early?
Yes, they had 5 in the first. Cleveland got 5 in the second.
We're going to see Cleveland this year in interleague play. Terry Francona's tried having a surprising run. And Gregorius at short lays out and makes a beautiful grab. That ball looked like it was by him. He took away a hit from Freddie Freeman with a spectacular sprawling catch. And we move along to the 6th inning with the Braves now up 2-0.
Braves induct Chipper Jones into the Atlanta Braves Hall of Fame and retire his number 10. Time now for our SunTrust Shining Moment. It's been a busy day for Chipper and his entire family. It started with a luncheon at the Marriott Marquis today, and it was a blast. John Sherholtz unveiled the plaque and then the jersey that would be retired tonight. And later on at the ballpark, the number 10 was unveiled, not only to him but also to the crowd here. And Chipper got a chance to show off his arm by throwing out another first pitch, his second of the season, as a matter of fact. Tom Hart at the ballpark, happy to be joined by a Hall of Fame dad, now Larry Jones. We were just talking, what an incredible ride and what an incredible day for you and your entire family.
It's just something that you never even think that might happen to you. And this family is such a blessed family, from Chipper and the boys to Lynn and I. We're just extremely blessed that first and foremost he is a Brave. The Braves family takes care of its own, and this is pretty self-evident today.
How soon was that evident to you when your son first signed with the Braves? What kind of organization it was and that he was in good hands?
I remember Lynn and I were going down to West Palm Beach to watch him play, and Chuck Lamar was the head of personnel for the minor leagues, and Chipper was playing Double-A at the time. When we got there, he was not happy. Chuck had demoted him. And he was with A-ball, and we went the next day to watch him play in the A-ball game. And Chuck Lamar came up, and he explained something to me. He said, the reason I sent him down was that we wanted him to experience success and for us to promote him instead of him starting at Double-A and us having to move him down and us having to demote him. And I honestly believe that that's one of the reasons why each and every one of these guys that are born and raised in the organization, when they get here, they stay.
John Sherholtz told the story today at the luncheon. You and I have talked about it before, that the early hitting lessons for Chipper involved a tennis ball and 32 inches of PVC pipe. Now, as a switch hitter, that's twice as much work as most guys have to put in. Why was that so important to you and to Chipper as a youngster?
I wouldn't say it was extremely important to me, but I was a Mickey Mantle guy growing up, and you know, whatever number 7 did, I wanted to do. And whatever number 7 did, I wanted my son to do too. So from the get-go, we started switch hitting, and you know, come to think of it, I think it turned out pretty good.
It did turn out pretty good. As Aaron Hill strikes out, and we see some of the Mick, here's a guy who your son passed on the all-time RBIs list. Was that one of those accomplishments that really made you sit back and go, wow, because there's so many?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, I remember when he won the batting title, he was 0.6 of a point from passing Mickey's all-time. Mickey hit 365, and gosh, I wanted him to pass it. And then when he passed him RBI, why, it was something that, just to have Chipper mentioned in the same sentence with Mickey Mantle is something special.
I know it's been an incredibly emotional weekend, just like it was last year at the end of the season. And I hate to put the cart before the horse, but we can talk about it now that he's done playing. Can you even consider what your emotions may be here 5 years from now in Cooperstown, New York?
I don't want to think about it at this point in time. I might jinx it, but it's hard to believe that my son is being considered in the most exclusive Hall of Fame in all of sports. There are a lot of great players that aren't in the Hall, and they're talking about my son becoming a Hall of Famer. Golly, what a tremendous thing that would be.
It doesn't happen without a lot of work. It's been a pleasure getting to meet you and Lynn. Thanks so much. And we'd be remiss, guys, with Paul Goldschmidt at the plate if we didn't talk about the man who recruited, who signed and scouted Chipper Jones. Paul Snyder's with us up here in the suite as Goldschmidt goes down swinging. Here's a guy likely to be going into the Hall of Fame. What did the scouting report on Chipper Jones look like as a high schooler? Did you have HOF written on that sheet?
No, I didn't have HOF written on that sheet, but you knew he was special. How special, we didn't know. And it's one of the hardest things to judge when you're talking about a high school player, where the ultimate is going to mean. I said to Father Larry tonight, I said, you know, I'll never live to see another one of these, because there's nobody on the horizon right now that's going to put the numbers up in my lifetime that Chipper did, and made us all so proud of him. So I think we witnessed something tonight that will be a long time in the future before it happens again at Turner Field.
Can you give us a glimpse? What did that scouting report look like? What were the words on the paper and the grades that you had on him as a high schooler?
Well, I think Hep Cronin put it best. He was the one that turned in the first report, and he felt that we had a chance for a 5-tool player, and it was only a matter unless he got too big and might lose some of his running speed. Well, we know that didn't happen. So I think he pretty much hit it right on the head. And Hep Cronin, as Larry attests to, was one of our best high school player scouts. And he did an excellent job. And he had told me that he called me down in West Palm Beach after he saw him for the first time. If you like Leo Foster in 1968, you're really going to love this guy.
Miguel Montero lost his bat, so he's back at the plate with an 0-2 count against him. Not just Chipper Jones, everybody who came up that tremendous run with the Braves. This guy got it started, and of course Larry Jones got it started with Chipper. Great to see you once again. Thanks so much for everything.
Thank you. Thank the Braves.
Back to the ballpark in a moment with Atlanta holding the lead.
Brought to you in part by AT&T Uverse, by Delta Airlines, and by Ford. Julio Teheran is dealing tonight. He's allowed just 4 hits. He just struck out the side, has retired 10 Diamondbacks on strike so far tonight, and his offense looks to extend what is now a 2-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. A new look rotation for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We told you about their troubles winning games of late, but look at how they've acquired their starters. That's our cold hard fact, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Most pitchers on a roster acquired by a trade. The Diamondbacks with 2 former Atlanta Braves, and that's Delgado, of course, and Zeke Spruill out of Kell High School, who's been called up and was part of the deal for Upton.
Delgado has retired McCann twice. Bryan has grounded to first and has popped out to short. And he's going to hit one at Aaron Hill at second base. And that's out number 1. Trivia time. Just so you know, Tommy, we are on a hot streak.
Yeah, you guys continued it on the road?
We had a good road trip.
Okay.
Well, at least good for us. Our AT&T Uverse trivia question. What number did Chipper Jones wear when he made his Major League debut?
I think we saw that today on video, didn't we?
Yep.
Oh. Chuck just said I was disqualified. Or all of us were.
So we can't say anything?
Tommy wasn't. This is pretty much a personal trivia question for Mr. Glavine.
A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
Well, see if I can come up with something.
We'll give you a hint. How's that? It was not 10.
Right.
Right.
But it was higher than 10.
I think I know.
And less than 99, if that helps. 2 balls and a strike. Did you pick your number, or did they just assign it to you?
They assigned it to me my first big league camp.
Couldn't stop himself. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Did you want a different number? I mean, or did you really care?
No, I didn't really care. I was just happy that first spring training it wasn't the reverse, 74, because that usually means you got no shot.
Hands down on strikes. Delgado pitching a good ball game, but trailing 2-0.
Let's take a look.
Randall with 3 strikeouts.
Take a look at some of Tom's retirement ceremony. Number retirement ceremony.
Oh my gosh, he's gotten so big.
That's one of my favorite shots. Just watching.
Well, I tell you, I mean, that's why I was interested to hear what Chipper had to say. I mean, you know, you get asked that question 1,000 times. What are you going to feel like? What's it going to feel like? And you give 1,000 different answers, and none of them for me were anything close to what I felt once I finally saw that.
How do you not just break down and weep?
Because you can't. You're not supposed to.
What do you mean you're
That's
not
what your wife's for. That's what the family's for.
Man.
Hard to believe that was almost 3 years ago.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Line drive into left center field. That's going to get down and roll to the fence. Parra with a sliding stop on the warning track. And B.J. Upton has a couple of hits tonight, both of them doubles.
He had a pretty good road trip, too. He was 4 for 17 on the trip and hit the ball just like this, right on the button on several occasions. Tonight he got the fly ball double when he was lost in the sky, but not this one.
So Chris Johnson bats.
I don't know if it's a deke or not, but Tyler Pasternicky's come out in the on-deck circle, hoping that perhaps they will pitch to Chris Johnson and not just pitch around him. I don't know if Tyler will, in fact, hit for Teheran or not.
They walked Chris intentionally back in the 4th inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Teheran hit the ball hard, but into a 3-2-3 inning-ending double play. Avilan is loosening in the Braves bullpen.
103 pitches for Teheran. His season high is 123, but that was way higher than anything else he's done this year because he was closing in on a no-hitter. So they let him stretch it out a little bit. Well, now we're about to find out if we're going to make a move here.
Gave Delgado 2 pitches to see if Johnson would retire himself. He didn't. And now ball 4, and it will be Pasternicky for Teheran.
And with Tyler coming to the plate, it reminds us too to send get well wishes to Ramiro Pena. Boy, just hated the fact that he hurt his shoulder and had to undergo surgery for the 2nd time on his labrum. But he was having such a good year, good addition to the Braves ball club, and hate the fact that he's out for the rest of the year.
So Charlie Nagy, the Diamondbacks pitching coach, makes a visit to the hill.
You see what's going on there, though? The guy that was running the meeting was Martin Prado because they wanted a scouting report on Tyler Pasternak.
Tyler had a terrific year down at AAA. In fact, in his last 21 games at Gwinnett, he had 30 hits. Added 3 over 9 overall in 57 games.
Had a 3-hit game in Milwaukee on the road trip.
Upstairs, 1 ball, no strikes.
But in the absence of, with the absence of Pena, his role and that of Paul Janisch will be very important.
1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, we may have to change the Georgia Power #4 promo from Blauser to Janisch.
Might have to.
Might have to. 1 ball, 1 strike. Good pitch. And he's still throwing hard, over 100 tosses tonight. That one at 93 over the outside corner. Upton at second, Johnson at first.
Delgado's had to work hard tonight. He only had 1 inning in which he only faced 3 hitters, and that was thanks to a double play. Gave up a single to Hayward and then a double play, wiped him out. But he's been in the stretch all night long. And down 2 now. He's struggling not to make another mistake right here that's going to put him farther behind.
Yeah, his 104 pitches have been a lot more stressful than Julio's.
Sure
Julio's up there because he's got so many strikeouts.
Nowhere near 2 balls, 2 strikes.
It's Will Harris in their pen ready to go.
Well, as the starters for Kirk Gibson's Diamondbacks have gone winless in their last 19, their bullpen has been awfully good. So an extra run or 2 here would be welcome. Up the middle, Gregorius takes it to the bag himself, and that'll retire the side. The Braves strand a pair in the 6th inning. On we go to the 7th. It's 2-0 Braves in game 1.
Now we're going to go to our Volkswagen pitching performance tonight, and that subject is Julio Teheran. We've talked about how he's made improvements over the course of the year. I'll show you his strikeouts here tonight. He's gotten a strikeout with virtually every pitch and every location. He's gotten a couple with his fastball up in the zone, a couple with his fastball down and away, a couple with his slider there, a couple of big ones with his changeup. So it's the progression of a young pitcher. He's getting confidence not only in what he's doing, but he's getting confidence in the sequence and the package of pitches that he's using from hitter to hitter, and it's fun to watch. And I'll tell you what, another solid performance tonight, 6 innings, 10 punch-outs, and only 1 walk. So he has certainly continued that trend of getting better.
And 2 guys in the middle of their order he has controlled, and he struck out Goldschmidt twice in 3 trips. He struck out Montero all 3 times. Those guys have both been hot hitters.
And Joe, as an offensive player, when you can't eliminate one of the starters' out pitches, that's not a lot of fun. We've seen Teheran pitch brilliantly against the Pirates. That was the near no-hitter. We saw Matt Harvey do that to the Braves for the Mets, where he had everything working here at Turner Field. So 6 innings and 10 strikeouts for Teheran. He gives way as Martin Prado starts the Arizona 7th. Answering our first AT&T call to the bullpen is Luis Avilan.
Boy, he was good at Kansas City a couple of days ago. He worked an inning plus, an inning and 2/3 actually. No hits or walks or runs, struck out a batter. He was very sharp. I want to go back to Teheran just for a second, guys. Tonight is the 11th time in 15 starts that he has walked 1 or 0 on a start. And he came into the game 6th in the National League and 1.6 walks per 9 innings.
And you know, your obvious observation there is, well, he's throwing strikes, and obviously that's the case. But I think more and more, it's his confidence in being in the zone with the stuff that he has and the command of the stuff that he has right now that's allowing him to do that. He's not afraid to go in the zone.
Contrast that with his first 3 starts of the year, where he had walked 7 men in his first 16 innings. So you're right, he is a much more effective pitcher, as Prado coaxes a leadoff walk to start the 7th in a 2-run game. Here's Kubel. Kubel has struck out twice tonight. Ball, no strikes.
A walk the first for Luis in at least 5 outings.
Found the mark. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bounced off the plate. Avilan's going to go to second. He threw a sinker at Simmons, who did a heck of a job to stay with it. Prado's forced at second. Kubel at first with 1 out.
That was a heads-up play by Luis, though. They weren't going to get a double play off the high chopper, but he did get the lead runner.
That's good read and good job by Avilan getting his body in a position as that ball was coming down to where he could just catch it and throw it to second base all in one motion, not having to waste his time, so to speak, in terms of fielding the ball square to it and then having to turn and make a throw to second base. So nice job of getting in position to catch it and throw it all in one motion.
1 to Cody Ross, the Arizona right fielder. Ground ball towards Simmons. Ugla, the turn. Double play, retires the side. First double play wrapped into by the Arizona offense tonight. We stretch in Atlanta. Braves 2, D-backs nothing. Brought to you in part by Blimpie, by the Georgia Lottery, by the Home Depot, and by Toyota. 2-0 at the 7th inning stretch. Braves in front of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both starters are departed tonight. It's Julio Teheran enjoying another big night on the hill. Busy weekend here in Atlanta with the Braves and D-backs. We hope you'll join us for the 3rd annual Tribute to the Troops presented by CPI Security. If you order tickets from Braves.com, a portion of the proceeds will benefit the Wounded Warrior Project. That's Tribute to the Troops Sunday at 1 when the Braves and Arizona wrap up this 3-game series at Turner Field. Here's a look at Will Harris, the former Oakland Athletic, who's in for the 19th time. Man he faces is a man who homered last time up. That's Brave shortstop Andrelton Simmons.
Showed you how good their bullpen's been recently. That does not necessarily include Heath Bell, who had a stretch where he gave up a home run in 5 straight outings.
This guy's been a big part of it lately, though. He's held opponents scoreless in 13 of his last 14 games, so he's been throwing the ball well.
Fly ball to right. That's playable for Cody Ross. Plenty of room out there. And he's got it for out number 1. Mets could not hold a 4-1 lead. Washington's come back to tie that game. 4-4 in the 8th. No win for Matt Harvey tonight. So if the Braves can take care of their own business, at the very least, they'll maintain a 5.5 game divisional advantage. Here's Hayward. Jason has 2 hits and a run.
Oh, good cut. Throwing some good swings out there lately. have been a little bit up out of his zone. Couldn't get up on top of it. A good hack at it.
He took that one for a called strike. Hey, nice catch by Justin in the on-deck circle.
Another lefty sending one over there.
Through the legs. It's an official game now.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. Takes care of Jason Hayward. That's out number 2. You guys surprised that Arizona's been in first place as long as they have been out west?
I think you have to be. I mean, you know, maybe they're not. Obviously, they knew the makeup of their club, but I don't know too many people that would have picked them to be leading their division.
I am a little surprised by who's in second place, and I shouldn't be, because the Padres swept the Braves in San Diego, and they're in second place, 3.5 back.
Yeah, and I think you're equally surprised by who's in last place, but just, you never know.
There's our Academy Sports and Outdoor leaderboard.
Dodgers have won 6 in a row and 7 out of 10.
And we hope that continues as they host the Phillies tonight. That game's in Los Angeles. 1 ball, no strikes. Three 3-0 to Justin. Pirates are winning big again tonight. 10-3, they lead Milwaukee.
Boy, they're on a roll.
At this moment, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals are tied for the best record in baseball. Four straight puts Upton at first. Here's how the Central shapes up in the National League. That's going to be one great race with the Reds, Cardinals, and Pirates.
Well, Pittsburgh's been at or near that position the last couple of years, it seems, around the All-Star break, and have not been able to sustain it for the second half of the year. So hopefully this time around be different for them.
Going to have a different pitcher come on for Kirk Gibson. Harris walks Justin Upton. Figure a lefty-lefty matchup is coming up for the Braves, who lead in the 7th, 2-0. To you in part by Georgia Power, by Ram Trucks, and by AT&T. Big cheer for the new pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks because Tony Sipp is from Braves country. He lives in Moss Point, Mississippi in the offseason. And this guy is one of the most durable relief pitchers in the game. He really pitched a ton of games the last 3 seasons for the Indians before Arizona got him in a blockbuster trade last December.
Last 3 years for Cleveland, 70 appearances, 69 and 63. And this will be number 33 already for him this year, as we're 1 game shy of the halfway point.
And he'll face Freddie Freeman, who hits lefties well, as you know. Freddie tonight is 0 for 2 with a walk. Can to follow if Freeman can reach. And a strike. That blockbuster deal brought Didi Gregorius and Lars Anderson to the Diamondbacks. Right-handed pitcher Trevor Bauer, pitcher Brian Shaw and Matt Albers went to the Indians. Shin-Soo Choo and Jason Donald went to the Reds. Old-fashioned blockbuster 3-team deal. Freeman with a base hit to right. Look at Upton run the bases. He'll make it to third with ease, and the Braves have him at the corners with 2 out.
This is a good piece of hitting by Freddie here on another pitch inside. Watch how he had to actually buckle his right elbow a little bit and bend it to get the top hand down there to get that pitch.
So 2 of the game's great young first basemen talking things over. Upton's at third for Brian McCann. Brian looking for a hit. He's 0 for 3. We're told that the big cheer Sipp received was with good reason. He left 58 tickets to the game tonight.
Wow.
Expensive night.
Going outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Two and 1.
Another guy who might have left a ton of passes is warming up for the Diamondbacks. Zeke Spruill, who's from Kell High School out in Marietta.
Fly ball to left. And plenty of room for Kubel. He's got it, and the side is retired. Sipp gives up a hit, nothing else. A pair stranded for Atlanta in the 7th. Ahead of the 8th.
for the Jones family. I thank each and every one of you guys for coming out here and spending it with us. I'm truly humbled to be standing here in such great elite company. I'd be lying if I said the first day I walked into Fulton County Stadium and I saw Hank's number 44 and Murph, Nuxie, Spawny, Eddie Matthews, that I didn't dream that one day number 10 would be up there. If you're going to dream, you're going to dream big. And I wanted to dream, as high as I could.
And that picture says it all. Nothing quite like that ceremonial ride around the park in a convertible, huh?
No, there isn't.
So, Luis Avilan back to work in the 8th inning with Didi Gregorius leading things off. He's 1 for 2. Just 4 Arizona hits to this point tonight. Teheran was brilliant. 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. And in line to win his 6th game of the year.
And this might be Avilan's last hitter as a left-hander, and then they've got the pitcher spot after that. A right-hander's out on deck, right-handed hitter, where if Freddie waits to see if he's announced and in the game, then he can bring a right-hander in to pitch to him, and that's A.J. Pollock.
That's foul past first. The count stays 1 ball, 2 strikes. Garrett Cole picked up the win for the Pirates today. 10-3 he beat Milwaukee. San Diego leads Miami 8-2 down at Marlins Park. Nats and Mets 4-4 bottom 8. Colorado 4-0 over the Giants. Lannon and Capuano for the Phillies and Dodgers respectively in about 3 minutes.
Giants are in some trouble. Not only are they scuffling with their pitching and their starting pitching and needing some starting pitching, but they lost Angel Pagan for the rest of the year with a torn hamstring.
And the Giants may be one of the teams linked to Ricky Nolasco. To the right side, Freeman flips to Avilan, who gets to the bag in plenty of time. 1 man down. The Braves are going to see the Marlins an awful lot. In fact, the Marlins are here after this Diamondback series. I don't think Atlanta would mind seeing Nolasco get traded before Miami comes to town.
Right.
And that is the last batter faced by Luis Avilan, an inning and a third of 1-walk baseball. Arizona goes to his bench. The Braves go deeper into their bullpen, protecting a 2-0 lead late. ceremony. First place clubs out of the West and East matching up in game one, and fireworks after the game. I'm guessing we've got 48,000 or thereabouts at least here at Turner Field. They've seen a good ball game. The Braves have out hit the D-backs 9-4. They've scored 2 runs. And Jordan Walden now with the bases empty and 1 out in the 8th inning will try to set it up for Craig Kimbrell.
How good has he been lately?
Real good.
Just 5 walks, 28 strikeouts in 25 innings. He worked both games in Kansas City. I keep forgetting that's only a 2-game series. An inning and a third, 1 hit, shutout ball, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. But he is bringing it lately.
And he'll go after A.J. Pollock, who will come on and pinch hit for Tony Sipp. Pollock's a rookie. Second in the league among rookies in runs. Third among rookies in hits. Number 7 prospect for the Diamondbacks. Rated by MLB.com. Baseball America has him in the top 10. Popped up into right field. Jason Hayward, plenty of room. And Pollock is out number 2.
Another note on the injury front. I don't know if this is accurate or not, Chip. Mike Adams for the Phillies. I think he's out for the year.
He's got 3 tears in his shoulder.
Good grief. So I wonder if that will preempt any thought of moving Papelbon. There were some rumors there.
Yeah, the Phillies, I think we said this about a month ago. I think they're going to be a fascinating team to watch in that they still have some really good veteran players, but obviously in Chase Utley, in Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins. They go to their rotation. Cole Hamels is much better than his record would indicate, but they can't win when he pitches. You know they've got Cliff Lee. And Roy Halladay's starting to play catch now. So do the Phillies break that club up? Or do the Phillies, knowing they have, I think, 16 games left with the Braves before the end of this season, take a couple of shots before the July 31st deadline?
I'd be hard pressed to think they're going to do too much until the last minute. I mean, they're still hanging around 7 games, 7.5 games out.
Yep. Right.
You know, like you said, with that pitching, you've got to figure that that's going to continue to give him a chance, but you never know.
Swing and a miss. Parra's down. Walden continues his great work in the 8th inning. 3 up, 3 down for the Diamondbacks. Braves look to add to a 2-run lead. 8. Afternoon baseball here in Atlanta tomorrow. And here are your Chevron upcoming starting pitchers.
Ian Kennedy certainly got a lot of headlines after he hit Zach Greinke with the pitch and got a big brawl started. He'll go against Tim Hudson. How many games did Kennedy miss?
10. 10-game suspension. So his last start was June 16th. And he beat the Braves back on May 15th. Gave up 2 earned runs in 5 innings and has never lost to Atlanta.
Well, here's Zeke Spruill, who was another part of that deal that brought Justin Upton and Chris Johnson to Atlanta. Again, out of Kell High School out in Marietta. I'm sure he always envisioned making his debut at Turner Field on the night when they retired Chipper's number, but he just didn't realize it would be in another uniform.
I wonder how many passes he had to leave tonight. Sip has the current record of 58. We'll let you know if we find out. 1 ball, no strikes.
He has been in a couple of games already for the Diamondbacks. 3, in fact. 3 in the 3rd innings, 2 hits, no runs, a couple of walks, 4 strikeouts. Last year he was at Mississippi, went 9 and 11. Big, tall, lanky guy, 6'5", 190.
That's down the line foul by Dan. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Hey guys, you know, Dan's been having some vision issues. I talked to him about it today when he got to the ballpark early. Oddly enough, he said he first noticed it when he was in the field. He was standing out at second base, blinked his eyes a couple of times, and realized he was having a hard time seeing plays right in front of him as a defender.
Rips this ball toward right center field. That's going to get down and roll to the fence. Ogler's going to try for 3. Relay throw. Late. Leadoff triple.
Breaking ball, and here's another guy, Tom, that when he's hitting the ball to right center, you get a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it seems like we talk about it all the time, and you know these guys know it. You know they're trying to do it. They're not always able to do it, but great piece of hitting there, and really was looking at a triple from the get-go. He ran the bases hard all the way around, and big start for the Braves here in the bottom of the 8th.
Big hit for a slide, plowed up a little ground in the process.
Infield in for B.J. Upton.
And that's exactly the kind of pitch he's been lamenting that he hasn't been able to see. A hanging breaking ball or a hanging slider. He said he's trying out various pairs of contacts. It'll be trial and error the next few days. I think this pair works just fine.
I agree.
Yeah, 2-hit game for Dan. And he's riding a 4-game hit streak now. 2 hits for B.J. Upton tonight. And that's, I think, the most exciting thing about this Braves team, Tommy. Here we are, 5.5 games up, and you have 2 or 3 guys that really haven't hit stride at all offensively yet.
Well, you haven't. And I mean, you know, everybody talks about, well, man, look how good we'll be when this guy gets going and that guy gets going, along with these other guys that are going. And, you know, it's rare that everybody in the lineup's going at the same time, so you want guys picking each other up. You just hope that when everybody is clicking, it's the important part of the season. I mean, it's like we talk about with so many other facets of the game where the game kind of takes care of itself. You know, it's wishful thinking to think, well, man, look how good Freddie's swinging the bat and how good Justin was swinging earlier in the year. And, man, when BJ gets going and Dan gets going, all these guys are going. Well, it's not very often that all 9 guys or all 8 guys in the lineup are swinging a hot bat at the same time. That's why you need depth, and that's what is so important for the Braves is they have enough guys in that lineup that can pick each other up.
Got skipped up there. 3 balls and a strike.
Rich Montero here. When skipped off the plate, he wasn't moving over to block it. It just happened to find his glove on a backhand.
All season long, Braves baseball on Fox Sports South is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price every day. Upton takes a walk. Rocky start for Zeke Sproul on the Turner Field mound. A leadoff triple, now a base on balls. He's burned 5 walks tonight.
It's a nice bonus run at third base if you can get him in. Kimbrel's been warming up. He's got 3 to work with. I like his chances.
Yeah, this is where, I mean, you don't hear me talk about often a first and third situation from a pitching standpoint where with nobody out, where you're thinking, all right, I got to find a way to get out of this inning. This is one of those times if they want to stand a shot in the 9th inning. They don't want Kimbrel out there with a 3-run lead. So this is where if you've got a strikeout pitch, try and get to it here, get a strikeout here, and then go for the double play ball.
Another fine stop. 1 ball, no strikes.
Sproul was a 2nd-round pick by the Braves in 2008. Had a 38-33 minor league record. And a 3.5 ERA. Easy to understand why the Diamondbacks wanted him.
That was a good pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now he's ahead 1-2.
He's thrown him 2 sinkers down and in, swing and a miss, and a foul ball. I don't know what off-speed pitch he's got confidence in to go to try and get a strikeout, or if he's going to try and stay right there with that fastball, or maybe elevate it a little bit on his hands.
One ball, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss, ball in the dirt. And no advance from first either. So there's the strikeout pitch that Sproul was desperately looking for, and now he's potential ground ball away from getting out of this mess. Reed Johnson's grabbed a bat, he'll pinch hit. Reed's starting to get a few more at bats on a consistent basis. He had 2 of them a couple of games ago up in Kansas City. And he swung at the first pitch in the 7th inning and had an RBI hit.
Yeah. Clutch hit.
Well, Sproul is going to be looking to have something down in the zone for the ground ball double play, and Reed's got to be looking for something up in the zone that he can, worst case, get a fly ball to the outfield and get that run home for third.
A little confusion there on the count sequence sign that Montero's given him. made those 2 good pitches on the sinkers down and into Chris that you talked about, Tom. And if Reed was watching that, he might be thinking along with him that he knows he needs a ground ball, but maybe ambush that pitch, be ready to turn on it.
Close play at first. That's something Dusty Baker has always said. And Dusty's a real good hitting instructor and was a real good hitter. He always felt that in situations like this, the first pitch a hitter gets might be the best one.
I think that kind of falls in line, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but in hearing guys that I've talked to over the years that pinch hit, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that first fastball in the zone. That's what they want to hit. They've been sitting on the bench. They want to see a fastball that they can put in play.
The bunt. Sproul with a glove flip, and not in time. Reed Johnson lays down a beautiful bunt, and it's 3-0.
Looked like the safety squeeze that the Braves tried in Milwaukee and were not able to pull off. Breaking ball, but a good bunt close enough to the line that it made Sproul have to go a long way to get it. See, Dan didn't break until the ball was put down.
Yeah, nice try by Sproul. That's the only way you can make that play is try and shovel it with your glove, and great job by Reed. Kept the bat head up and bunted it back towards the pitcher. He's the last guy moving, so that's where you have your most room to get the bunt down. Great job.
So that first pitch, the one you're always looking to bunt.
Absolutely.
That's what we're talking about.
Looking for a breaking ball, absolutely.
I will say this. Freddie Gonzalez is not afraid to squeeze or safety squeeze. He's done that a lot this year. And a big third run is across for the Braves on their 10th hit. And 2 balls, no strikes. A lot of things for this kid on the mound to think about. But you get his hometown for the first time in the major leagues. Chipper Jones night, trying to hold the Braves at bay, and immediately in trouble with a triple. That's popped up. Foul ground near the Arizona on deck circle. And playable for Martin Prado. He's got it. Simmons is out number 2. So while we have a moment, let's revisit our AT&T Uverse trivia question tonight. It is Chipper Jones night. We retired number 10. But the question is, Tommy, what number did Chipper wear when he made his big league debut?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was number 16.
Good call.
There's a lot of pressure on me there. You guys have been hot.
Kept the streak alive. Nice job. Here's Hayward. 2 more hits for Jason. He swings the first pitch and pops it up. Aaron Hill at second. Cut of the outfield grass makes the play, and that retires the side. A triple and a bunt. Plates a third Atlanta run. Craig Kimbrell has 3 to play with as we head to the 9th inning. nice crisp ball game for the Braves tonight as they start this big weekend. A matchup of two first-place foes. And Julio Teheran was brilliant. The Braves lead 3-zip.
Shows 11 hits on there. I don't know that that'll hold up because I'm not sure that was a hit that was allowed for Reed Johnson on the bunt. It was more like a sacrifice, fielder's choice, and an RBI. However, it's been a good night for the Braves, especially in the pitching department. Teheran, Avilan, Walden, all have done their job now. Craig Kimbrell in for the ninth.
Paul Janisch is checked into play third base. Kimbrell has been terrific, looking for save number 23. Save number 22 came the other day in Kansas City. It wasn't an easy one. And the base is loaded, and Alcides Escobar up. Got a fly ball to right to end it. Let's see if he can get through this ninth with no drama tonight.
I'm all for the no drama.
Aaron Hill doubled in his first at bat tonight. And looks outside at ball one.
He did not pitch against the Diamondbacks earlier this year, and in fact, this is not a team he has pitched well against. 0-2 with a 5.40 ERA, 4 saves in 5 opportunities in 9 games.
And this is not a club you want to give any hope to with all the comebacks that the Diamondbacks put together this year.
Yeah, they're right there with the Braves in terms of comeback wins, so you don't want to breathe any hope into them if you can help it.
There's a strike. 2-1. Too tight, I guess. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
A 99-mile-an-hour sizzler. Could have easily been called a strike, catching that upper corner.
Toward third, Janisch knocked it down. Scrambles to his feet and fires. What a play.
Saved an extra base hit. And then he saved the play by getting to his feet quickly.
How many times do you see it? A guy comes in to play defense and right away.
Right. Tested.
Well, he's a third baseman, you know, at least in the 9th inning tonight. And Goldschmidt, the Arizona first baseman. At this point, held down by the Braves. He has struck out twice.
You saw Freddie Gonzalez standing there behind Chris Johnson and Gerald Laird, and as sharp as Gerald Laird's tongue is, you know there was something going on there with, boy, Skip, you knew when to get Johnson out of there.
Good to see Paul back after his shoulder issues late last season. Hamilton Simmons went down. He was just marvelous to watch at shortstop.
I'm sure that still goes through his head too when he's got to trying to make a play like that, like he just made, where he's extended.
Two balls, 1 strike. Now 2-2.
Braves have made some good pitches on this guy tonight. First to Ron, and now Kimbrell.
Lee hurt him down in the desert with 6 hits in the series. Now face a 3-2 pitch.
Again, he went 3-2 on Hill, didn't he?
Yep.
And he lost Goldschmidt. Miguel Montero's the hitter. He's 0 for 3 with 3 swinging strikeouts. Coming up after our game, Braves Live is presented by AT&T. What a day in Atlanta. 48,282 are in attendance for Chipper Jones' retirement ceremony. Braves are winning 3-0. Julio Teheran with 10 strikeouts. A lot of highlights. A lot of sound bites, I'm sure. We hope to follow another Braves win tonight at home.
Diamondbacks, the last big league team to be shut out. They're the only ones left that have not been blanked.
One ball, no strikes. Instead, the first. Double play ball. There's one. The Braves shut out Arizona. Outstanding pitching by Atlanta tonight. And single runs in the first, fifth, and the 8th inning. And a great start to the weekend. 3-0 your final score over Arizona.